The Delaware Canal became a Pennsylvania state park in 1931. Governor Gifford Pinchot agreed with local advocates that it was worthy of preserving because of its scenic beauty and its recreational potential. And then came flood after flood, and the structures deteriorated, and quite frankly, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania quickly came to consider the canal as one big money-sucking monster. And it continued in that role for a lot of years until the concept of taking advantage of connections came into play. One aspect of those connections was connecting the resources of the canal itself, and the second aspect was connecting the canal with more regional resources. Some of our successful examples of connecting the canal's resources, and I'm going to go really grassroots on you. The canal passes through 9 Pennsylvania legislative districts. The Friends instigated the creation of a Delaware Canal State Park Legislative Caucus to bring those 9 legislators to the table all at once and to make them understand the issues of the canal as a whole rather than focusing in on just the issues of their districts. We wanted to instill that spirit of we're all in this together. And our messages started out very basically from the simple, if there's a break in the canal in the north, you're not going to have water in your district to the south. And that, to some people, was a new message. The caucus has been functioning relatively well since 1993, and its advantage both to advocacy groups and to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, which administers the canal, is that you can convey one message, not 9 messages. Big time saver. The other things that the Friends started rather early on was convening municipal officials meetings. The canal runs through 18 different municipalities. And we started off in a very folksy way, sending invitations to the elected officials and appointed representatives in the boroughs and townships, asking them to come to, we turned it a get-together, quite frankly, to learn about the canal, have access to the state park officials, get to know the Friends, and it worked really well. I will give you a helpful hint if you are thinking about doing it. You have to schedule it during a month that has 5 weekdays, 5 weeks in the month, rather, okay? And have it in some place that most people don't usually go, so there's the incentive to discover. And coffee and dessert, of course. Okay. Essentially, our messages to the municipal officials were much the same as the legislators, except that we tailored them more to local issues, like stormwater management and zoning. And through those contacts, we've gained canal enhancement ordinances. We had models drawn up, distributed them. They have been adopted by 4 municipalities, and they're essentially zoning overlays. 5 municipalities have made monetary contributions, some of them significant, considering they're giving away taxpayer dollars, to the Friends of the Delaware Canal to help with our projects, and many of them have provided in-kind services. The other wonderful benefit, and again, you all, I know, are very familiar with how much better grant applications fly through the system if you have partners in your application. Through our communication with municipalities, they have been able to improve their local parks by creating direct links to the Delaware Canal. So they are linking to a long linear park that connects their rather small local park. We at the Delaware Canal love it because we have a link to pavilions and restrooms and playgrounds, all of which are in rare supply on the Delaware Canal. So it's a very mutually beneficial situation. And last but not least, some of the local municipalities have taken the opportunity to acquire open space directly adjoining the canal property, and Bucks County has done so as well. So again, a tremendous plus. All sort of stemming from that opening up of communication in this very sort of folksy, let's all get to know each other way. But again, trying to bring everybody together. The other thing that affects the canal itself as a whole is uniform signage. And I think you all seem to be doing a really good job with that. I very much appreciate Morris County's sign out there in the roadway that showed how to get here. Good job. I liked it a lot. Again, that gives you that unified whole with stylistically well-done signs, and it gives the park user, the canal user, the feeling of knowing where they are. Okay. Then the other aspect of our connections are our more regional connections. The Friends of the Delaware Canal were one of the groups that were instrumental in the creation of the Delaware and Lehigh National Heritage Corridor, which was enacted by Congress in 1988. Okay. The corridor itself extends up beyond Mock Chunk on the Lehigh Canal to Wilkes-Barre, 165 miles down to Bristol. Okay. And it recognizes the connections created by the processes of mining coal and transporting it to market. And the story includes the canals and the mines and the railroads and industry and local culture. And again, from what I've seen here, you get all those stories, which is absolutely fabulous. The Delaware Canal is part of what is now known as the D&L Trail, the effort to have a continuous trail along those 165 miles. So we're 58.9 miles of it. The other thing that has been done is an interesting variation on the Main Street program. And I think probably a lot of you are familiar with Main Street programs, which are essentially downtown revitalization efforts. What, in conjunction with the D&L, we've done is do a collaborative Main Street project where 4 towns have one, in quote, manager, and you're doing the revitalization promotion together, essentially based on the unifying theme of being along the river and along the canal. That way, in a lot of ways, it's a wayfinding effort, a way to get from place to place and make new discoveries occur. Okay, the other issue on regional connections, and we get bigger and bigger here, is what was recently named the Circuit, which is the Greater Philadelphia Regional Trail Network. The Circuit's a system of interconnected trails which offer non-motorized access from the Appalachian Trail in central Pennsylvania to the Atlantic Ocean in New Jersey. The Delaware Canal from Bristol up to Morrisville, about 12 miles, is part of the circuit. And the circuit in particular has been very, very well funded by the federal government and the William Penn Foundation, which is a Philadelphia foundation, to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. And we're part of it. And then there's the East Coast Greenway, which the woman from RBA defined very well. Thank you. There you are. And the Delaware Canal, again from Bristol to Morrisville, is part of the East Coast Greenway. So what all these larger connections have done for us is widen our sphere of influence. Wider sphere of influence brings you more money. So one very direct benefit that we've had, the Friends of the Delaware Canal maintain and operate the Lock Tender's House at Lock 11 in New Hope. And we got it, and it was a really 1950s wood paneling, linoleum floor type of place. And we managed, through our association with the larger D&L corridor, to get a grant, a bricks and mortar grant, no less, and you all know how hard they are to come by, from the Pew Charitable Trust. And the Lock Tender's House was by far the most lowly building in the program. And I really do attribute the fact that we got money to the fact that we were part of this larger effort. The Betsy Ross House was in this program, and here we are, this little Lock Tender's House. The other thing that's happening, which 10 years ago, no one would have said that this would be occurring, was that there are 5 trailless obstructions in the southern end of the canal, essentially from Morrisville south to Bristol, where U.S. Steel came to town, built the Fairless Works, and in 1950, the old canal was something just to get rid of. So roads were built over it, et cetera, et cetera. We have 4 lanes of busy highway to overcome twice. There's a railroad line to get around. There are 2 bridges and the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Today, all 5 of those obstructions are being taken care of. One of them is done. And here's another helpful hint from the trail. If you're building tunnels under roads, never, ever, ever call them a tunnel. People have really bad associations with tunnels. Call them passageways, and suddenly they're good. So, a lot in the name there. Done. We have some in design phase, some that are just about to be constructed, and what I consider to be the real miracle, both Amtrak and Conrail are cooperating. Yeah. Again, when you get everybody to see this larger vision, it's just not that little old canal downtown. It's part of a big system that goes very far. We do have one lock that was restored in 2003 using federal, at that point it was ICE-T money, and that is in New Hope, outside our door at the Lock Tender's House. Unfortunately, we had the floods of 2004, 5, 6, and 2010, so it hasn't ever quite operated yet, but we have great hopes. And $34 million has been invested after those floods through FEMA and PEMA, which is the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, to repair the flood damage. Again, that real stamp of approval that this is something worthwhile, $34 million for a canal that flooded 4 times is a real commitment. The other advantage is that with the connections, we have a resource that's much more widely publicized. It's mentioned with the East Coast Greenway, mentioned in the D&L trail literature, et cetera, et cetera. And the other thing that I forgot was our loop trail system. Along the Delaware River, you have the Delaware Canal flowing down. On the other side of the river in New Jersey, you have the Delaware and Raritan Canal feeder. And there's 6 river bridges that help create 5 loops of varying lengths connecting those two canal towpaths. And they truly are one of the most popular things that visitors come to do, because you don't have to go back and forth on one towpath. You don't have to park your car in 2 different places. So, again, that connection. I was asked to talk some facts and figures, and you have a lot of facts and figures, but I'll give you some from our perspective. In 2012, the Northeast Regional Office of the Rails to Trails Conservancy undertook a user survey and economic impact analysis. It was commissioned by the D&L Commission Corridor and funded by the state. They undertook it between June and October of 2012, and they had infrared counters on the towpath, and trail users were asked to complete surveys. Now, keep in mind, in that period in 2012, at least half of the Delaware Canal was under construction, either damaged from the floods or under construction. So from that, I'll give you total impacts for the full D&L trail, which is the 165 miles. They extrapolated that 283,000 visitors are on the trail annually, and they have a total economic impact of $19 million. $16 million worth is spent locally, which I think is an important figure. 79% were 46 and older, okay, and less than 12% of them had children with them. So I think that's a really important demographic to consider, when you're talking about promotions and events. 46% were biking, 29% were walking, and 8% were jogging. And then when they were asked about secondary activities, 31% were wildlife watching, and 19% were bird watching. Okay. And 52% said that health benefits were what brought them out. Okay. And I found it interesting, the statistics from your tourism bureau, the importance of having brochures and how people like to have printed matter, not just their smartphone to work with. In this particular survey, 38% of the people found out by word of mouth. So that means you better be presenting a good experience while they're there. 16% by driving past, which leads you to the importance of signage, and 21% were informed via the internet. Now, buying things. 77% reported that they bought hard goods, which are bikes and clothing, etc. And the average total purchase annually was $425. And 74% reported that they bought soft goods like food and drinks while they were out in the trail for an average purchase of $33. And that was per visit, which sounds like a lot to me. They must have been going to expensive restaurants. Okay. 10% stayed overnight. And interesting, again, backing up what I heard today, that a lot of people come and visit and they stay with relatives or friends. Okay, so you can't, you want them to be promoting your resource. And you also want the hotels and motels and bed and breakfasts where they are to be knowledgeable about what you're providing. Okay. So after all that, and in conclusion, connections of all sorts have really paid off for us. I think they're paying off for you. One of the things that excites me the most about canals is how they really can benefit communities. They're a fantastic resource. And we would like to connect to the Morris Canal. We used to. Boats would go across the river, and we're connecting with the DNR. Let's do Easton to Phillipsburg. And we'll send you on a whole different route. And we'll get those people coming in from Finland to visit us. Okay, thank you very much.